Matthew and his father, Alexander, loved each other deeply, but there was one thing that always came between them: anger. Both had short tempers, and whenever they argued, their words became weapons, hurting each other in ways they never intended. One evening, after a long and tiring day, Alexander came home to find Matthew playing games instead of studying.
Matthew, how many times have I told you to finish your homework first? He scolded.
Matthew, already frustrated, snapped back. I'll do it later. Stop bothering me. Alexander's face darkened. You always have an excuse. You never listen to me. Matthew stood up, his fists clenched. Maybe I don't want to listen to you. Maybe I don't want to stay here at all. Alexander's anger flared. Fine.
If you don't want to stay, then leave. Go and see how hard the world is without your father. Matthew's heart pounded.
He hadn't expected his father to actually say that. I will, he shouted, storming to his room to pack his bag.
Just then, Matthew's mother, Eleanor, walked into the house. Seeing her son angrily stuffing clothes into a bag and her husband fuming in the living room, she knew what had happened. She sighed and sat down. Both of you, come here, she said firmly. Matthew hesitated but obeyed. Alexander, still frustrated, crossed his arms but sat down too. Elizabeth looked at both of them. You two love each other, but your anger speaks louder than your hearts. Matthew, do you really want to leave?
Matthew lowered his gaze. No, he mumbled. Eleanor turned to Alexander. And do you really want him to go? Alexander exhaled, his anger fading. Of course not.
Elizabeth smiled gently. Then why do you say such things in anger? When you're angry, it's not you talking, it's the rage. And rage doesn't care about love.
It just wants to win. Matthew and Alexander looked at each other, guilt washing over them. I didn't mean it, Dad, Matthew said softly.
Alexander sighed and placed a hand on his son's shoulder. Neither did I, son.
Elizabeth nodded. Next time, before speaking in anger, take a deep breath. Walk away if you must. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. Matthew and Alexander exchanged a small smile, realizing how close they had come to hurting each other over something that didn't really matter. That day, they both learned a lesson not to let anger speak for them. And from then on, though arguments still happened, they always remembered to breathe before speaking because love was stronger than anger.